Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. We are going to be chatting about my October TBR in today's video. This is probably one of my favorite TBRs of the year so far, and that is largely due to the fact that in the month of October I will be co-hosting the Spooktober readathon with my bestie Stasia. This has been a month-long readathon that I have hosted every year since 2020, not including last year, where we spend the entire month reading thriller, mystery, and horror books. This is an individual readathon this year for the first part of the month that turns into a team-based readathon during the last part of the month, and I am so excited for it. Our game for the first part of the month is a traditional game board where you roll your dice and land on some prompts. So in a little bit I'm going to show y'all my rolls for the readathon, show y'all what books I picked out for the prompts that I landed on, and then we'll also be chatting about, of course, the rest of my October TBR because I do have other books that I need to read, not for the readathon. So before we chat about Spooktober, I want to dive first into my book club books for the month of October. First up, we have The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I'll be reading this one for the Mending Hearts book club, and this one is a paranormal romance that takes place kind of in the afterlife about a woman who is given 10 extra days on Earth to find the love of her life before it is too late. Our main female character here, her name is Delphi, and she is given a second chance to find somebody for her. I've heard wonderful things about this book and I cannot wait to dive into it for our book club. And then for my in-person book club that is meeting in October, we will be reading But He's My Grumpy Neighbor by Anna Conwell. This one is a closed door romance, grumpy sunshine, they are neighbors, and it sounds very, very cute. We've got small town vibes in this one as well. I've been really itching for some more fade to black or closed door romances recently, and I think this one will be very fun and a lighthearted read to pick up amidst all the thrillers and horror books that I'll be reading in the month of October. And finally, for the Zodiac Academy 2-year read along, which is hosted by Vanessa from Read with Dr.B, I do plan to read Zodiac Academy The Reckoning. This is the third book in the original series, and I do plan to continue this one on audio. I have read the first 2 books in the series and very much enjoyed them overall, and I am excited to keep continuing with this series. I think the dramatized audios are super well done and super entertaining, and I do hope to borrow them from my library in October to listen to. Moving on into the fun part of my TBR, we are going to be chatting about the books that I have rolled for the game board that the Spooktober readathon is using this year. I did film my rolls, so I will be showing those clips as I talk about which book I ended up picking up for each prompt. I did roll for the readathon a couple weeks ago because I wanted to figure out some choices for each prompt, but I have officially finalized that list, and I've got 6 books that I will be reading in October for Spooktober, and then we'll add in a couple extra ones for the back half of the month as well. So for this game board, we just asked that participants use 1 6-sided die to roll to land on prompts. So that's what I did. I used one on my laptop, and for my first roll I ended up on novella, which is honestly a great way to start off the month because the first book that I'll be reading for Spooktober is Escape Room. This is a novella that I've had on my shelves for almost a year now. It is a young adult thriller that takes place in an escape room about this group of kids who go in expecting to play this fun escape room and have to get out, of course, before the time is up, but once they get in there, they are stuck, and whoever's in charge does not want to let them out. This book lands at 200 pages exactly, so I'm counting it for a novella. It's super short. I can probably read this whole book on the first or second day of the month, and I think that's a great way to kick off the readathon. And also, our intention with this game board was to read in the order that you roll. So these books that I'm talking about, I will be reading them in the order that I'm talking about them. So the first book that I have to read is Escape Room, and then for my second roll, I'll show y'all I actually landed on the box that said to go ahead and skip forward 2 spaces. So that is what I did. And then I landed on the final girl trope after moving forward 2 spaces. So for that one, we will be reading Mary by Nat Cassidy. This one is about a middle-aged woman who starts experiencing some weird things happening in her life, and she ends up losing everything in her current life and moves back home. But when she moves back home, she realizes that she has been auto-writing and auto-processing the thoughts of an infamous serial killer from the area, and when she's back in her hometown, this infamous serial killer starts killing again. This one sounds super creepy. She is kind of a chonk, but I feel as though this is going to be a horror book that makes me want to sleep with the lights on. That's gonna give me goosebumps, and honestly, I'm ready to soak that up this season. I just now noticed that we have a creepy hand coming out of the water onto our main character's hand, and that is terrifying. But I also can't wait to pick it up. The next roll that I did landed me on Blood Red on the cover, and for that I ended up going with Good Girls Lie by J.T. Ellison. This will be my first book by the author, although I do officially own 3 of hers now. This one takes place on the top of a big hill in a small town in Virginia, and there is a prestigious prep school on top of this hill. There are a lot of rules at the school, but kind of underlying these rules, we've got some secret societies and dubious behaviors from the privileged women who go there. It sounds like there's gonna be a lot of secrets, a lot of drama, and I love books that feature that. So I think this will be a fun time, my first dive into this author, and I cannot wait. We've got some blood red on this girl's tie as well as the spine, so I am counting it for this prompt. The next roll that I did landed me on the prompt of reading a book that is between 200 and 300 pages. We love a good short book, I cannot complain. And for this prompt, I will be reading Girls with Long Shadows by Tennessee Hill. This is a newer release. It is a Southern Gothic thriller, and this author is actually going to be at the Nashville or the Tennessee Southern Festival of Books in a few weeks, so I thought I could potentially read this one before then and then go and get my book signed by the author. We'll see if I end up having time to go to that event, but that was kind of my intention when I found it at Barnes & Noble for half off and bought myself a copy. If not, I'm still excited to read this. I love Gothic elements and themes in my thrillers, and think it'll be fun to read a book set in the South. To give y'all a quick blurb about this one, the caption right here says that this is a debut novel about identical triplets whose lives are devastated when their burgeoning desires turn deadly. I'm very excited for this one. We'll see what it's all about, but I expect to have a very fun time with it. I did realize while editing this video that I forgot to write down another roll that I had done in the middle of this board where I had landed on the multiple POV trope. So I'm obviously including the clip of that roll here, but for this prompt, I have decided to read How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold, which y'all will hear about later in this video anyway. My next roll landed me on the missing person prompt, and for that I'll be reading Such Quiet Girls. This is a thriller that includes a lot of missing people actually, because it is about this school bus where all the girls and the bus driver disappear from, and they are trapped in a storage unit buried underground and are running out of time to escape. We don't know who is behind it, but the time is running out for them to make it out alive, and they have to figure out what to do. This is also inspired by true events, which I very much need to look into. I have read a book by this author and I did not like it, but I am hopeful about this one. It sounds super gripping, and I'm hoping that it's a very creepy time and fits this prompt perfectly, and just is something that I enjoy more than the other book that I read by the author. So I am hesitantly hopeful, and we'll see where it goes. The final box that I landed on was a book with 10,000 reviews or less, and for that I'll be reading You Know What You Did. This is a thriller. I have talked about it in a couple of my last several videos. for both my 10 Before the End as well as my Halloween season TBR. But this one is a thriller about a first-generation Vietnamese American artist who has to confront secrets about both her past and her present. When a prominent art patron goes missing, somehow the blame is put onto our main character Annie, and things start to spiral. She at one point wakes up in a hotel room with a lifeless body, and there's a lot that goes on that connects her past and her present and causes this big mystery going on in her life. I have not heard very many people talk about this book, so I am excited to pick it up and check it out for myself. I got my copy from Aardvark a long time ago and still have not read it, so it's time to get it off my unread collection of books. As y'all can see here, I did do one final roll to see if I had to hit any more prompts before reaching the haunted house, but I got lucky and made it to the haunted house with only having to read 7 books. Those are the 6 books that I have to read for the game board. I anticipate being able to read these books within the first 10 to 14 days of the month, which gives me a few extra days to potentially attempt to read through the game board again. I don't know if I'll do that while we wait for the second part of the readathon to open up, which if you are curious about what that is, I will link that announcement video above because there is a very fun part that has been added to this readathon for the back half of the month, but it's mostly a secret for right now. Even I don't quite know how it will shape out, so I do think I'll be able to read these 6 books easily. If I can go through the game board again, I'll go ahead and do so. We'll see how long it takes me to get through this first round of books though. But I will say that during the back half of the month, things are more open to reading what you want to help out your team, and that's all I'll say about that. So I did put some other books on my TBR for Spooktober for the month of October that I hope to get to as well. First up, we have The Intruder by Freida McFadden. This book comes out in October. I'm doing a buddy read of it, and I plan to read it on Kindle Unlimited. I might squeeze this one in even while reading for the game board. It wouldn't be for the readathon if I do that, but I do want to pick this one up, obviously for the buddy read, but also Freida McFadden's books are so bingeable. I could probably read this one in just a couple hours. No idea what it's about, but I've read enough of her books at this point to kind of just enjoy the ride and go in not caring really at all what it's about. I would also like to get to How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. I've also talked about this book several times in my last couple videos, but this one is about 7 horror writers who go to this manor, I think for a writing retreat, and they all get stuck in the house and deadly things are about to happen. I think this one is a fun blend of horror and mystery. I love a good haunted house, haunted manor trope, and an isolated setting, so I'm hoping that this one is a great time and that I fly through it. I am very intrigued by it. I do want to pick it up very badly, and I finally need to just go ahead and dive in. So that is my game plan for this one. My last physical book that is officially on my TBR is Where I End by Sophie White. This is an Irish Gothic thriller, and I have not seen much about it, but I also have it from Aardvark. It is a shorty, which again, we always love to see. And I need to start getting through my backlist of Aardvark books, and this one should be a very quick and hopefully bingeable time. This one is about our main character who lives with her mother, and she believes that her mother is cursed. That's all I'm going to read about it. I don't need to know anything else. The last 3 books that I have put on my TBR for October are NetGalley arcs. They come out at some point during the month, so hopefully I read them before the month is over, even if the release date has already passed for some of these. First up, we have The Gallery Assistant by Kate Belly. No idea what this one is about. All I know is that it's a thriller, and I got a NetGalley widget for this one, and I almost always say yes to the widgets, so that's why this one is on my NetGalley shelf. We also have The Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling. This one I believe is more of a historical thriller slash horror, and I don't know anything about this one either, if we're being honest, because I also got a widget for it, and I just can't say no to them. So there's that one. And finally, we have The Midnight Farm by John Fram. This one, could you guess was also a widget. This one I know is more of a horror. This author, I have heard of their other book called The Brightlands, I think is what it was, and I heard wonderful things about that book. I am excited to check this one out as well, but of course, no idea what the content is in this one, because when publishers send me widgets for NetGalley arcs, I just go ahead and download them typically. So those are my 3 arcs that I would like to get to in October. Ideally, I save them for the second part of the month when the readathon style changes, but if not, I will squeeze them in while also reading for the Spooktober game board prompts, and hopefully I'm able to get to all of these. September has been a great reading month. August was a pretty great reading month too, even though TBRs, what are those? But this month I do really feel as though sticking to this TBR will help me be the most successful in completing this readathon and helping out my team eventually once we get onto teams, and just having a great time reading all the mystery, thriller, and horror books with all my pals on the Spooktober Discord server. If you are interested in finding out more about this readathon or participating with us, I will have the registration link in the Discord down below. Registration does not close until October 3rd, so there is time to sign up still. It is a great time. I'm super excited for this round, especially after missing last year, and cannot wait to read with all of you. If I read all of these books for the game board and the second part of the readathon early and finish everything up, I will add some more spooky books onto my TBR, but these are going to be my focuses for the month, and hopefully I get to most, if not all of them. That is the goal. Let me know what is on your TBR for the month of October, or if you plan to read seasonally or just read whatever the heck you want during the month. If you made it to the end of this video, make sure to comment a pumpkin to help us kick off this Halloween season. That is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.